Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a tarot reading about how to invite spaciousness into your life. I decided to do this reading because I feel like when you're tuned into the tarot community, there's a huge emphasis on manifestation and abundance and attractiveness, or attraction I should say. And we're really in these kind of active, young, kind of almost even forceful energies where we're trying to orchestrate our perfect life into being, and I feel like we really neglect the more intuitive yin side of things. So I just wanted to do a tarot reading that honors what naturally comes before light, which is nourishing, deep, plentiful darkness. Like the darkness of the primordial waters in almost every single creation myth, out of which light eventually arises. So before we can be in our magician energy, we have to be in our more spacious priestess energy. I think it's so funny that he comes first in the tarot, when in all creation myths, the first thing that precedes everything that follows is the deep, dark primordial waters. And we start our lives off in the womb, in the darkness of our mother's womb. So I feel like, because I live in the northern hemisphere, it's kind of like a February-March energy to really embrace a yin energy, to find inner spaciousness. Because really all creativity draws from that primal, dark, beautiful, nourishing, spacious place. Although it's not really a place, it's actually the opposite of place. We have the world of form, which the magician is concerned with, and then we have non-forms, which I guess is why we meditate and why we try to, why we get into spiritual things, because we're trying to find some deeper truth. So I just decided to keep it simple and do two significators, the High Priestess or the Hermit. I'm just going to be doing card counting as always, and then I might check in with a few other decks, maybe just do a chakra check-in, we'll see how it goes. But yes, this is group 1 and this is group 2, so pick whatever moves you. Hi and welcome if you picked group 1, the Priestess. This is just a reading for how you can cultivate your sense of spaciousness, let go of this need to control or manifest or dominate reality in any way, but simply how to release and be present with what is here now. She's got an incredibly strong urge to shuffle. This card just popped out, of course. The Four of Swords, yes, it's very that. That's very much the energy. Some of you may have been trying to move around a lot or make things happen, and it's definitely a good time to slow down a little bit. Okay, let's find the Magician showed up on top. No thank you, ma'am. We are looking for the Priestess today. Where's she hiding? Oh boy. Jesus. Okay, so in card counting, the Priestess correlates to the moon, so she is worth 9 cards. Queen of Cups, worth 4. The 10 of Pentacles. Ruh-roh. 2, 3, the world in the reverse. That is worth 9. The 3 of Wands. The Ace of Cups. It's worth 11. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The King of Swords in the reverse. The 5 of Swords. 4, the 3 of Cups. So a lot of 3 energy here. I feel like you're wanting to be really creative and active. And it's not necessarily the time for that. Well, that's not necessarily true. You might just have to change your definition of how you do that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The 7 of Swords. This card in this deck means something different than the normal Rider-Waite deck, so that is interesting. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 of Coins, leading straight into death. That might be your final card. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it is. Okay, so there you have it. So with the Queen of Hats being the first card to come out after the Significator, I feel like you may be a person who is more comfortable being in a more nurturing, loving energy. Like that's, even if it's not necessarily how you come across or your general energy, it's part of your value system. You value being a loving, nurturing, kind of emotionally intelligent person. So I feel like for you, you understand the value of maybe, I would say, the yin virtues almost. You're not like dismissive of this more slow, flowing energy, this less active or dominant energy. It feels like you have managed to create some kind of security or abundance for yourself. This 10 of Coins card, though, always gives me a sense of emptiness, and it's kind of bizarre because there's no sense of like of legacy or achievement really. It just feels like accumulation, more so than anything else, because it's just these disembodied, and they're not disembodied, but I mean they're decontextualized. There's just 10 oysters in a room, and I'm like, well, what the hell am I supposed to feel about this? Like it doesn't have any sort of meaningful, it doesn't evoke a reaction inside of me. And so it kind of feels like you're focusing more out on going out into the world, doing something, achieving something, which makes sense because everyone's kind of wanting to like gear up and go out into the world and start doing things again. But there is this sense that like you are focusing on some big choice about where you should go, what your next step is, but you're kind of overlooking the fact that there's something that needs to be healed in your heart space. It's like your thoughts are misdirecting you or distracting you. There's this sense of unnecessary chatter with these cards, the King of Swords and the 5 of Swords, but we'll get to that. So there is this sense that like though you can accumulate balance and create something that's very successful or very stable, until you've balanced some kind of, not balanced, but healed some kind of pain in your heart space, the world remains sort of closed off. You can't quite grow to your full potential. So yeah, with spaciousness, there's this need to focus on the heart space and yeah, and try to, what do I want to say? Yeah, I mean, move forward from a place of love more than anything, and I feel like that's really cliched advice, but I'm just thinking about this completely meaningless 10 of Coins, and this card, these cards are derivative of the Waite-Smith cards, but this has none of the emotional content. It's completely dry, it's dusty, it's making me need a drink of water. Like, there's just nothing here. So it's like, you need to tap into some source, because it seems like with the Queen of Hats, you have a source that's very, very available to you. You are a person with a beautiful, loving heart, with a lot of potential to nurture the growth of things in a very sort of wise way, in a very intuitive, feminine, wise way. But if you're not letting your heart space be healed, then you can experience as much physical space and travel and expansion that you want to, but in terms of actual inner spaciousness, actual inner growth, there is this sense of being thwarted. Now, you definitely have options out here with the Three of Wands. This Three of Wands depicts the scene where Alice discovers the little door that leads to the garden. And so there is this sense that you have almost like you discovered a path you want to take, but you feel like you're too big to fit into this tiny door, is actually what I'm thinking. Which is kind of, it's like, I'm not going to say it's bullshit, but there is this sense that like, you're not meant to go through this door at this exact moment in time. It's good that you know that you want to end up in that beautiful garden. It's good that you have the passion and the inspiration for that. But like Alice, no matter what she did, she got bigger, she got smaller. She kept kind of like, there were just her thought process was just to like boom, 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 step, 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 and she kept missing things. It's kind of like when you're in your mind, you miss things. So again, we need to bring in this flowing, intuitive, watery nature. I mean, it's not an accident you picked the High Priestess. And the reason I decided to use this deck is because I like that this High Priestess has water behind her instead of the High Priestess in the Waite-Smith deck, who has that, it looks like it looks like a wall tapestry that you'd have on your wall in college with pomegranates on it. Like, it just looks like a random tapestry. Like you're in her dorm. But I chose this one because, yeah, of this watery energy specifically. That's one of the reasons why I chose it. So there is this sense that, yeah, you are being called to explore your inner world more than anything else. With the King of Swords reversed, I would recommend listening meditation. And that is like, does not have to be super hard. I think a lot of times with meditation, we try to work with mantras or guided meditation because it seems easier. But in a sense, we're still prioritizing the mind. We're still prioritizing words, which is obfuscating our sense of spaciousness. Sometimes, with some people that really works. That's like a pathway for them. But for you, I don't think it is. For you, the pathway has to be more intuitive. And so with the Ace of Hats, I kind of feel like it's really just about trying to be as still as possible. You can't force your mind into stillness. I'm just seeing how still this water is, though. It's kind of like with a listening meditation, you would be listening to the sound of your radiator and the sound of birds outside your window, and your dog snoring in my case, and your own thought patterns. You listen to them all with the same level of inattention. You acknowledge them, they're there, but you don't need to put any effort into actually hearing what's being said by your brain or what's being said by the birds outside your window. It's the same level of just chatter. You just let it all be noise. And you listen to it with the same level of polite disinterest. Because I feel like with the King of Swords, we make our own problems, and it creates, it creates, or it rather destroys any sense, any opportunity for spaciousness. This person can't see the water. They're in their head, they're in their own ego, they're in their own mind space. They have all these thoughts here that they're hoarding around them to keep them safe. But yeah, there's just a sense that, I mean, and this isn't too surprising, right, that overthinking is the enemy of spaciousness. I also think another way that you can be spacious, though, is definitely connections with close friends and family, having fun with them, but really being present with them. With the Ace of Hats, it's kind of about truly offering your present self with love and joy and attention, paying attention to in these situations, actually like embracing happiness. It really bothers me on this card. The dudes look like so unhappy, and it just sucks because the Three of Cups is one of my favorite cards, and they just look so stressed. So there is this like sense that like your thoughts will rob you of joy if you let them. Easier said than done. I totally get that. It's very interesting that you got this. Is even though he's the King of Swords, he's actually kind of the King of Hearts. And then you have this over here, where we have the King of Hearts again. Yeah, and there's this sense that it just feels like our relationships, like, might be causing us stress, so we need to kind of step out of that and refocus on the love we feel for people and situations and try to re-ground in that instead of trying to look at this tiny door that we can't yet get through. There's this sense that the door will always be there. Alice did get to the garden eventually, but because she was on an episodic journey, it was a bit of a meandering energy. With the Two of Cups being down here last, there is this sense of a partnership. It doesn't have to be someone you're dating. It's just someone you're in a close relationship with, that there's some kind of tension in you that is sort of blotting out a sense of stillness, a sense of calm inner flow. Like we get very emotionally activated. Our emotions get activated in a more negative way with the Moon card. This is someone maybe you really want. You really, really want them, and you focus on how much you want them. And that takes us out of the present moment, that takes us out of the now, and it puts us in this desirous energy. Or this is someone who just like emotionally activates old wounds that you have and like puts you in a position where you feel like you're really defensive with them. There's a sense that this connection, whatever this relationship is, it has the potential to be transformative. It's not like it's a bad connection or a bad relationship, but it's weird. I'm feeling there's both the Queen of Cups and the King of Swords here. I feel like as long as you're right now with your thinking, because you're in a more stress-based sort of conflict, almost unconsciously conflict-seeking state of mind, it's keeping you from getting what you need out of relationships. Yeah. Ultimately, the King of Hearts can't prevent anything the Queen of Hearts does. She's not within his control. And what makes that work, if you perceive it as working, as a marriage, is that he doesn't try to control her, he doesn't try to work against her. This person that you're with probably isn't as bad as the Queen of Cups. Maybe they are. Maybe they do feel like there's someone who is very insensitive or very domineering. If that's the case, then it might be good to take some space. But I feel like if you're experiencing a person in your life as if they're like if they're detracting from your happiness, there is this sense that there could be some projection involved, and that when you focus on what you don't like about this person, you kind of you don't give them the you're kind of forcing your idea of what they should be onto them instead of accepting what they actually are. And that's something you need to do about yourself as well. You need to accept where you are in your journey. You need to accept what's actually going on with your heart space. And yeah, and if this is a person who just simply isn't present in your life, that's something you need to accept as well. With this, I'm going to read what the little booklet says about the Seven of Swords, because it's such an interesting departure from the traditional Waitsmith. It says, a wonderful fantasy and a new hope, confidence and perseverance, wishes, a grand design for life, and the pleasurable living thereof, artistry of thought. So that's very interesting, being in between the Moon and the King of Swords reversed. So there is this sense that your thoughts don't have to be your enemy, that you have an incredibly creative mind, and when it's utilized improperly or unconsciously, we create negative fantasies, we create negative versions of the people in our lives. We focus on our hunger, or we focus on what we lack, what we were longing to consume, instead of having this higher vibration of the energy where we like are more envisioning our perfect opportunity, this beautiful garden that someday will be open to us. But as of yet, we are where we are. And we have, it's like, I just feel like we need to do a little bit of shadow work, possibly, and then also just, instead of focusing on how our personal relationships stress us out or detract from our happiness, we need to either, if this person genuinely isn't like good for your heart space or your soul, then there is this sense of needing to disconnect and take a moment. But if it's just more of a situation of egos clashing or communicating at cross purposes, then there's this sense that we just need to bring love in and focus on how strong your love for the people in your life is. That still, serene, accepting love. So the Queen of Hats is the Queen of Cups is a really, really loving, nurturing, accepting person, and there's just this lovely balance that we can bring in. And this balance between our ambitions, what we want to achieve someday, all of our abundant potential, but also just our still loving, serene acceptance of where we are now and who we are with, and learning to love those aspects of our existence. And I know sometimes we're in really shitty situations, circumstances that are not pleasant at all. So it's not that you don't have to lie if something is really causing you pain. But there's just a sense that love needs to be brought in. There is a strong potential for love in some area of your life, and so we do need to acknowledge that and feel that blessing. And the last card is the Death card reversed, and it does seem to correlate to this. So there is this sense that there is this transformative potential in your relationships, just because these two cards are linked to both having the Queen of Hearts. And that, there could be a relationship that at one point you will be ready to let go of, but you're not ready yet because you need to heal something about that relationship. That's one message that's coming through. But really, it's kind of like you'll be ready to move on to this next step when you're ready to stop trying to force things to go the way you think they should go, almost, and just surrender to the situation. Like Alice just finally gets to the garden, which was this dream that she had, and then it's actually like a really hectic, strange, dangerous seeming place. But she survives it because she just kind of moves. Alice is the perfect example of being really intuitive and in the flow without knowing that she is. Like, she just encounters these strange people and situations, and instead of trying to fight them, in most cases, sometimes she argues, but instead of being really angry or trying to change the situation, she just moves with the energy and is just a fish in the flow of the water, really. So there's this sense that once you can get yourself more in the flow of what your situation is, what's going on with your life, then the more transformative your experiences can become. So I just wanted also see what's going on, if there are any chakras that need any special attention, any parts of your energy body that would need specific healing or just cultivation. I could feel this one trying to come out. Yes. So you got the solar plexus chakra and the base chakra. So there is this sense that, you may be in your thoughts a lot. And we need to ground in the present. What you have is more than enough. And if that seems like an absurd statement, then it might be time to reevaluate your expectations for what you're trying to bring into your world. Are you trying to fill your world with things, with clutter, with noise? And then the solar plexus chakra, I feel like I feel like there is this sense that in relationships you may be feeling a little bit underappreciated. So it might be a good idea to have a conversation with someone in a really loving and clear and non-accusatory way. Just talk to them about how you feel like maybe you need more support or more nourishment. I definitely feel like it's interesting. Because this shows a heart, I do always think of the 4th chakra, but this is a 3, so that is your solar plexus chakra. And there is this sense that like there could be something kind of holding back your confidence, like marring your confidence somewhat. And it's a thought pattern. It's something that's sticking in your head and it's making you sabotage yourself a little bit. So we need to get into this artistry of thought where this isn't about wishing for anything, that's more the moon. This isn't a wishful energy, this is just kind of like having a clear vision. And then just very, very slow, small things you can do. But always, always, always with a sense of the flow of your life. What is reasonable? I'm not trying to bring in all of this at once. It's just like balancing what you have. That's a very spiritual energy for sure. Yeah, I'll just, any more messages from this deck? Just to wrap us up, anything that I missed? How to cultivate one's inner spaciousness. Limitless. Yes. Okay, so I feel like the more you focus on the material, the more you make yourself material, the more you focus on forms, the more you become small and limited and form identified. And that's what this really is. This energy is very much when you identify yourself with petty shit, then it makes you more petty. So there's a sense that instead of focusing on the sense of entitlement, of desiring, of just wishing for more, we have to look at what we have and turn that into our 10 of coins. And the limitlessness definitely comes from a sense of love more than anything, and I feel like that's such an easy thing to just say. I'm just seeing this person's heart space is totally lit up, and I feel like you really have that. That's something that you have with the Queen of Cups, is you do have a very, very loving heart. But I think we need to just develop a more healthy experience of form. That's why the base chakra is here, is it's not about denying the flesh, denying the world of forms, the world of objects. Of course not. We incarnated in physical bodies and we're here to have physical experiences. But those physical experiences are supposed to be grounded in a sense of our own limitless beauty and our own potential to be loving and supportive of one another. Yeah, so I feel like while you may have legitimate grievances with people in your life right now, there is also just a sense of like accepting people for who they are and not trying to criticize them so much. Again, like this will vary from person to person. Like it's fine to have legitimate grievances, but there is this sense of just being really grounded in what's in front of you and what is worth having an argument about, and what is projection, and what is this balance between going with the flow and then having ideals. So it's like it's a very much about a grounding energy and an opening of the heart to accept just like everything that's physically in front of you. There's no denial of the physical here. It's very much a celebration of your physical world, but it's an emotionally grounded celebration of your physical world. And I just think that is kind of what's missing here with this World card more than anything, is we appreciate what we have and then we use that to grow something even bigger. it's not just like straight into the manifestation of it all. That would be an illusion. It feels like you're wasting all your coins on illusions with all this 10 of coins. You have all these coins here, but they're going into like, because these characters are really greedy and they're lying to the oysters because they're going to eat them. So there's this sense that all your value is being eaten up by your ego's desire, your ego's desiring nature. And instead of, and so we need to like take what we have in the physical and appreciate it, and not try to immediately turn it into something better or something new. Work with what you have now. You are eventually going to get to this garden. And you know, there's that thing, there's two ways to be unhappy. One way is to not get what you want, and the other way is to get what you want. So Alice did make it to the garden, and it wasn't what she thought it was going to be. So that's just a warning for some of you. There is beauty where you are now, and it's important to realize that, to recognize that. And that is the reading that I have for you. I hope it was helpful. And I hope that you have a spacious day. Bye. Hi and welcome if you picked the Little Hermit Dormouse. Today we are asking for messages about how to achieve your inner spaciousness. I shouldn't have used the word achieve. I don't know why I did. Slipped up. How to allow our inner spaciousness to be. I think that's more correct. Okay. Where's that? Oh, right there. Very near the top. Okay. So, obviously, card 1 is the Hermit. Hold on a second. The Hermit is worth 12. Followed by the 6 of Wands. And then the Tower, associated with Mars, so it's worth 9. The Wheel. The Moon, big fucking energy. The little Page of Peppermills in the reverse. That's for 7. The Emperor. If anyone's like, why are pages worth 7? I don't know, why is Temperance associated with Sagittarius? I've never met a Sagittarius with Temperance, you know? So, it just is. Okay? Emperor is worth 12. The 3... that popped out when I was pre-shuffling. That's interesting. The King of Peppermills. So, a bit of a fiery energy coming through. 2, 3, the Fool. The 6 of Cups in the reverse. 2, 3. And then the Ace of Flamingos. I think that's going to be your last one. Yes. Okay. So what a place to end. So the first thing is, it does feel like there's a little bit of a story here with the Hermit, followed by the Moon and the King of Wands. I think that this Hermit energy, I'm just thinking of the actual dormouse at the tea party, how he is always kind of like off in his little teapot sleeping. Feels like you may withdraw sometimes from the people around you in your physical life, to kind of go away and dream by yourself with this Moon card. Like, there's a lot you actually want, a lot you really, really desire and would love to experience or bring into your world. I'm just seeing the hungriness on this carpenter's face. And there's this sense that it can kind of lead you astray a little bit. I think the Hermit is meant to follow the Moon. The moon reduces to a 9. The Hermit is a 9 card, and I think the Hermit is such an intuitive energy. I feel like he works with that moon energy very, very well. He's in touch with that. But I feel like in this deck, though, this moon card is one of the most sinister moon cards I've ever seen. And it really works, it fits, but it is like a very, very dangerous moon energy because these little oysters are being tricked into being eaten. And I'm just seeing how this Hermit almost feels like he's retreating from the little light that he's holding. Like there's this sense that you know the truth about something, but you're sort of like living in your little detached dream world. And I do feel like there's something that is very attractive to you, or someone. It could be that you have a dream of something you really, really wish you could achieve or experience, or this could be a person that you really, really would like to be close to. But either way, it feels like something or someone is just running through your mind and has a very intense sort of powerful pull. Noticing that Alice is being crowned the White Queen and he is the White King. So it could very well be as like a counterpart that you would wish you could experience, or it could be that you kind of want to be this attractive, powerful figure. And it feels like you kind of don't necessarily feel that way, not quite yet. There's a sense that you just don't have very much experience yet. In terms of the 6 of Wands doesn't always really give me this. There's just a sense of like wanting to be powerful and wanting to be accomplished. Like there's a strong desire to be a person who's achieved something, with the Emperor and the King of Wands being here. But the Page of Wands is here to tell me that we don't really have all the experience yet. Like we're not fully aware that there's a lot we still need to learn, a lot we still need to know, a lot we just don't understand yet. And it comes through experience, but it feels like you haven't had as much experience yet, with the Fool being here. And his little hedgehog. Don't know why he is a hedgehog. It does feel like our pride may be holding us back. Our focus on success may be holding us back somewhat. It doesn't feel like it's the time yet for something. It's not the time to ascend to this level, and we may feel like it is, but it's really, there's just more experience that needs to be had with these 2 cards being here. With the Tower, I feel like in terms of spaciousness, it's a weird mix, because the Tower is telling me that certain thought forms need to be shattered. They need to be, there are just certain like walls around your consciousness that are trying to protect you. I feel like they are there to protect you from being vulnerable. The Emperor can definitely have that energy in the classic Whitesmith deck. There's this need to protect oneself from any form of attack or vulnerability. But there is definitely a sense that you're outgrowing certain egoic thought forms or egoic patterns. Like this is Alice herself causing the Tower moment, because she's become too big for the space that she's in, and it's creating havoc. It's kind of wreaking havoc. So the more you try to keep yourself boxed into old ways of being, old dreams and fantasies, old behavioral patterns, the more disorderly I feel like disorderly your material is going to be, because there's this sense that there's this part of you that's trying to transcend, that's trying to grow, and not necessarily in the physical way that you might want to. It's happening more energetically, more spiritually. With the Emperor, there's like this freedom of form that we didn't have before. There's this transformative energy. I'm just thinking about how the Cheshire Cat can come and go, how he can disappear and then reappear at will. So there's this sense that like we need to become, this is not a normal emperor energy at all, but there's this sense that like we need to enter some kind of, is to kind of explore deeper within ourselves and go into this more, this less rigid idealization or attitude of who we are and what we want, and kind of break through some of those old forms. So I feel like a lot of examination of the goals that you've been setting for yourself, like are they really serving you? Like do you still want to have this career or go down this path or do this thing? Is that really what you want, or are you actually feeling drawn in a different direction now? Like is there something that's really pulling at you energetically that maybe you can't quite accept or imagine yet? Is there something, is there a new energy out there for you, a fresh new energy? There's this need to like allow yourself to really feel that and recognize that things that may have been attractive to us in the past actually maybe were not that great for us. They were not quite right for us. With the Hermit, it just requires a lot of soul searching and a lot of actually like allowing yourself to know the truth. Because there is some kind of soul calling down here, but it just feels like it's obfuscated by thought forms, by the ego's, by expectations that you've created for yourself, who you are and who you want to be, and the types of things that you do. You kind of are getting, there's this sense of rigidity that needs to be broken down. And then what comes after is a more fluid and healthy ego that is more in the flow with the environment, is less prescriptive, is less likely to do what is expected of them, is less likely to, just behave in a way that they feel they're supposed to behave. It's more about that freedom of coming and going when you please, and not so much thinking about what's attractive or likable or expected by other people, to other people. And I just feel like this soul calling, it hasn't quite come through yet, because there needs to be some kind of awakening, some kind of breakthrough that needs to happen up here. I don't know how to give someone advice on how to awaken necessarily. Like, it's gonna come through the form that it comes through. But I do think you should notice moments where you're resisting certain types of challenges, when you reject something completely out of hand. There's that sense of like, why were you so immediately triggered to say no to something, or get away from something, or why does something make you feel threatened or angry? That's a good way to notice that there are sort of thought forms that are the ego's trying to protect itself. The ego's trying to do some sleight of hand and distract you slightly. Actually, I feel like that could very much be what the Emperor is doing. There's just this sense of like the ego will throw out a little bit of misdirection to try to save itself, because the ego is very tricky that way, very wily. The ego will there's this sense that like, even when you're going, when you have spiritual pursuits, your ego will seemingly support that, will seemingly be like, I should have a meditation practice or a yoga practice, but then like whenever you meditate, you get so distracted by chatter, or like you're so in this energy of wanting to be like really, really good at meditation, and like wanting to do yoga so you can do those really like cool looking poses, like hot girl poses, or really athletic looking poses. So it's like a seemingly spiritual practice that's been hijacked by the ego. So we just have to keep like, it's not about fighting the ego, like it's not really about that. It's just about acknowledging how much your ego is a part of your life and your decision making. So there's a sense that you can't defeat the ego by fighting it, because then you're just giving the ego more attention, and that strengthens it. What is really going to break things down is just noticing the truth about why you do things and your reaction to things, and just that cultivating that self-awareness practice. as far as spaciousness goes, I get the feeling like we really don't do this alone. I feel like there's someone who's going to help you. Someone who is going to come into your life is going to help you, and I don't feel like they're necessarily what you would imagine. Like, I don't feel like it's a King of Wands type. But I'm just seeing this little dormouse offering up a hat to Alice. I don't even know if you can see that. But, and then this same little mouse is present on the Wheel of Fortune, and then this is a dormouse as well, so it could be your higher self, it could be a guide, it could be a person who comes into your life. With the Wheel of Fortune, it's very hard to say exactly how and when and in what form this sort of guidance takes place. But with the Three of Coins also being here, it does feel like collaborative. It does feel like it's not something that happens on its own. And it's funny, this scene with Alice holding the pig, she's actually talking to the Cheshire Cat. So these two cards are depicting the same scene, but it is funny because Alice looks like she's totally alone here. Even though this card is about collaboration and is about working together. So there is this sense that you may feel alone, but there are sort of guides out there. I don't think the Emperor, I don't think the ego is actually one of your guides. The Cheshire Cat didn't actually have anything that helpful to say to Alice. I feel like your guidance isn't necessarily, I don't feel like it's all going to come from within, which is interesting because that's not the Hermit's normal energy, but it does feel like there are guides entering your life to help you sort of notice things about yourself, to help you work on things about yourself. You could even, and it comes in the form of like, definitely a feeling of close friendship or of a soul bond, if it is like a physical person. I think that is how you'd have to, like, you might not recognize it right away with this being reversed. It might take you a second, but there is this sense of like just allowing yourself to be open to new experiences and allow yourself to be helped by others, and not just viewing yourself as your own ultimate authority. To instead be open to guidance and help from others is how we sort of like start to understand the truth of who we are and what we want. And that's kind of how we find inner spaciousness ultimately, is like, and we can't really fully understand spaciousness until we've started to truly awaken to some kind of soul truth. And there's this sense that it just takes time to break down those barriers. Not that you're like unawakened. You can be awakened and then kind of, the ego is tricky. Those walls get built back up. Before you know it, you're like in another tower. Because that's just what the ego does. And so there is a sense of cycles with the wheel here, and that there's always people and guides and opportunities for you to learn and for you to grow. You just have to be open to collaborating. And that is the truth, really. That is how we feel that spaciousness. That is how we discover it. Yeah, I feel like with you, self-awareness is definitely a big part of it, to end on the Ace of Flamingos. With the group one, I felt like overthinking was a problem, and with you, I don't think it's overthinking per se. I think it's more like just like egoic fantasies and thought forms, but actually there's like this truth that's trying to break through. There's your mind is actually trying to help you find the truth. When you align with your soul purpose, it all kind of like becomes much more clear. So are there any chakras that need any special love and attention or healing, or just a tune-up even? Any chakras? What do you think? Anything else? Okay. So we have the solar plexus. I do feel like, oh, that kind of feels like this, doesn't it? Yeah, I do feel like you may have more of an overactive solar plexus, honestly. Or it's like over compensating one or the other, but there's this sense that like we can be really strong-willed and not so open to help from other people. Like that's a bit of a warning with that one. With the heart chakra, yeah, I definitely feel like, oh, that's like this. There's this sense that, yeah, if you open yourself up to new connections with people and really choose to be open and present with people, there is this sense that it'll start to nurture your heart space, and you'll start to feel become more aware of these soul connections. And there could be something romantic with the sacral orange rock coming out. So it could be a romantic connection, or it could be more of just a heart connection. Definitely if it is romantic, it comes from this place of heart-led desire. But yeah, there's a sense that like there's a lot of creative passion here. A lot of creative passion here. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with going out into the world and trying to find more experiences. I feel like you're being encouraged to do that, to gain some more experience. But there's this sense of just needing to be very humble and open to learning and growing more than anything. The sacral energy is here to tell you that you are a really creative person with a lot of creative potential. It's like mentorship is not a bad thing. Allowing if you are like an artist or someone who actually like creates or writes or something like that, there's like, it's not a bad thing for other people to offer you their input or critique even. Like with the tower, it could be that you feel very sensitive about things like that. But part of spaciousness is allowing and like letting people tell you their opinions about things without it allowing your ego to be a little bit bruised. Like obviously not if someone's just shit talking you, but there's this sense that like if someone has input, to just like allow yourself to receive that input, and if it does make your ego feel threatened, just sit with that feeling instead of reacting to it. Yeah, and just sort of just allow yourself to take other people's opinions on board a little bit is kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Be fearless. Yeah, so there's this sense of like you don't need to be threatened by anyone else's like opinions or input. Like if they're right, they're right. If they're wrong, they're wrong. I'm seeing a tower over here as well, actually. So there's a sense that if something really threatens your sense of self or is in disharmony with how you view yourself, instead of trying to protect that, just like listen to that message and then evaluate it and decide, you know, do I feel like what they said was true? Is it possible that it's true? Why do I think this person said it? Is this person's like input really meaningful and valuable to me? Like, do I really like this person? Do I respect their ideas? Or is this just me reacting to a random person whose opinion isn't really important? Like understanding all those different parts of the situation and then choosing not to react from a place of ego is going to create a lot of spaciousness for you. Anything else? Anything about this possible soul energy, intuition? So yeah, I feel like you're going through some experiences that are here to like highlight and promote your intuition, and they're happening. It's starting on a more grounded physical level. I feel like it's not like it's not like the idea of someone astral projecting into your dreams or you feel them in your energy field. It feels like you very much experience them in the physical first, and you either feel like a heart-focused connection, or they're just someone who's really fun or exciting, or is like more romantic. And then through this like connection, through this relationship, we kind of gain these opportunities to learn new things, to discover new things, both about ourselves and just about like, I don't know, what we want in life, almost like our path. So it feels like you're at this point where you're kind of ready to embark on something new. With the Fool being here, there's this potential, whether you realize it or not. You may feel like you're very like trapped and there's nothing you can do, but this Mad Hatter is out on a cliff in the middle of nowhere. Like, I feel like with new connections, your friends could take you new places. Like they could provide sort of new opportunities for emotional growth. That was too many cards. Yeah, do you have anything to say about friendships? Yeah? Free spirit? Can you see that? I don't know. Free spirit? And unconditional love. That's fucking lovely to pull when asking about friendships. My goodness. Yeah, so it does feel like in terms of you discovering your inner spaciousness, there are like soul connections that are coming to you to help you with your growth. And they are helping you with new experiences, with feeling more confident, able to explore the world and try new things and become less attached to these sort of tower-like ego-based fears and attachments, and instead to just explore more freely. There is definitely that feeling there. Whether or not this person comes through like the King of Wands, or if there's someone totally new and unexpected, it feels like they're leading you to, they have like a message to give you, and that message is like unconditional love. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know if you have been in situations in the past where you felt like you weren't loved unconditionally, where you felt like the love was very conditional, or was something that was more restricting, something that brought your vibration down. There's a sense that connections want to come through to you to help you feel free and empowered and supported. And I feel like it's going to be very, you just have things to give each other. Maybe the more, I feel like at first you'll be learning more, you'll be receiving more, and then I feel like as you grow and as you tap into your own like potential, your own spiritual self, your spacious potential, I feel like the Six of Cups will become upright, and then you'll have something to give back, because sixes are very balanced. And I just feel that with that there's this desire to give and receive, and you just need to like, there's just some more learning and experience that needs to happen for you, and that's why this person is coming in. But that's not something I really expected to get, actually, this reading about spaciousness. But yeah, it does feel like there is this big truth that's trying to come through to you, this big beautiful truth, and it's like, it might be something you already know intellectually, but it's like, this feels like less intellectual than normal for the Ace of Flamingos. It feels like it's a real truth that you like learn and truly understand through experience with someone that you care about. Yeah, and that is the energy that I see for you. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your existence. Bye.